Welcome back to Roundtail Restoration, everybody. My name's Chris. Next to me here, I have my 1964 Triumph TR4 that I'm restoring. This video is going to be a little bit of a hot mess as far as editing goes. I was going to wait on putting the floor in until getting the patch panels back at the rear wheel arch, and I've decided that I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to maneuver the floor very well if I put those pieces in, or at least as easily, and they can easily go in after the floor goes in. So I'm going to be jumping around a little bit. There might be some editing breaks and everything as I kind of show you stuff of what I've done, but that's the plan. And unfortunately, it's too damn cold to paint, so I can't get any well-through primer or any epoxy primer on any of the underside of the bare metal, so who knows when I'm going to get this floor in. But that's the plan. So I'll get you up to speed here and we'll see what we've done. Let's get her sorted. As I mentioned at the end of the last video, we got this wheel arch piece, the paper template kind of cut out for that. That's not too difficult to make. It's a little hard to get the curve right and everything, but I was able to do it on the other side. But right here, you can see this flange. What goes on the other side of that is the B-post, which is obviously gone and not in very good shape there. So on the other side, it wasn't in as bad a shape except towards the bottom there, and I've made that patch panel, and I don't know where it is right now, but it does exist. I just haven't welded it in yet because of the paint concerns for temperature and all of that. But over here, obviously this flange right here is going to need to weld into the back side of that B-post, and it's not there. So I'm going to have to work on that first before I weld this guy in and get this built. So I'll show you what that B-post is and what my concern is. So here's the B-post piece as it came out, and you can see it's got a pretty good ridge here, and as you taper down at the bottom, that ridge goes away and eventually just fades into nothing. This hole right here is for where the bolt hole comes through for the seatbelt support, so that needs to get reproduced, not a big deal. But obviously the back of this is all nasty and everything, and obviously it's gone towards the bottom. So my concern is, how do I make that ridge on the tools that I have, and I don't really know. So first thing I'm going to do is make it out of cardboard and get a feel for it that way, and see if I can bend the cardboard in the way that I'm going to bend the metal and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of go from there. But we'll see. I'm not too confident that I have all the stuff that I need for this. Basically, I've got the shape sort of traced out real rough, but as you can see here, it's a 1/2 inch wide ridge here, and it fades down to about 0 down to here. So I've marked that, and I've kind of made that flange. Now what I think I'm going to do is go at this at an angle so that there is no bend here, but as I go up, I'll produce that bend. So I'm not so sure that this is going to work, but we'll see what happens. So that flange is right at 1/2 inch. So we'll mark 1/2 inch there. And like I said, down at this point right here is where it goes to 0. And it looks like it's a pretty constant fall, constant angle as it does that. So we'll connect those 2 points. So now I think if I bend it on that flange back the other way, like this, at that angle, we're hoping here that we might be able to create that. So we'll try to line this up here and bend it. Another one of those where the flange is on the other side of the bend's on the other side of the piece of paper, but see if we can't get close. All right, well, that's about what it would look like, I guess. All right, so I think that's about it. Fits up all right. This flange is okay. It's not perfect, but I think I got the rough outline there. Now you can kind of see here, I think, where the piece of paper flexes. So that's all coming to the point there, and that's too much paper and not enough, well, just too much paper, right? So that's going to be a place where I'm going to need to shrink this up as that comes down. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that. I don't think it'll be self-correcting, unfortunately. It might, but I don't know. So that might be one where I'll apply some heat or something like that. But I'm going to go see if I've got a piece of metal that I can translate into this and maybe play around with a little bit. Got a piece of metal here. we've got the real basic outline traced out. We'll go ahead and get this all cut out, get it cleaned up, and then start seeing what I can do and how I can form this. That's going to be the hard part. Mentioned in my last video that I got a couple more dies. These were 2 of the set. This is a tipping die set, and essentially what you got here is like a hard roller skate wheel, and then up here you just have a flat face. And what you can do is put stuff in there like that, and as you roll it, it creates a crease, and it'll allow you to bend up. Now, I don't have a whole lot of metal here, so I'm not so sure that this is going to work, but I'm going to give it a shot at least to make the crease in there. So kind of like, you know, in a piece of paper where you put a crease in, it's easier to fold along that crease. That's kind of what I'm hoping for here, but we'll see if it gives me any success. So we'll tighten down 2 times. And we're just gonna roll down that thing first. I'm not gonna put any pressure on it. Just kind of get it started. And as I get closer, I'm gonna run out of room. All right, so it's kind of starting to bend, but unfortunately, as I get closer to here, I start to get interference on the roll. So I might be able to sneak this guy in a little bit. No, actually, that's as far as it goes. Let me roll that guy out. If you can't tell, I have no idea what I'm doing. Now it's starting to bend it, so now what I think I'll do is I'll just start to maybe put it in the vise here. I don't know, try to bend it across some piece of metal. That worked, but there's not enough. You can see it's starting to bend, but there's just not enough metal there to really grab it, and it starts to pinch in here, so I start to kind of run out of leverage. It's not a real pretty flange yet, but hopefully I can get it squared up. So we'll just do that. We'll figure out here what I can do. I might also cut straight across here, because this has got to flatten back out and then shrink right in here, because I got all this metal that's going to come together to get flat again. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to bend this whole thing back without causing a lot of buckling and everything in there. So we'll keep playing with it. My problem is I don't have any real hard corners, nice clean sharp corners, but I got this anvil here, weighs almost as much as I do, and it's pretty close. So I'm not I should be able to dress it up once I get kind of close to it, but I think I'm just going to take the hammer and just kind of work this guy out and see if I get lucky here. Again, I'm concerned with down here and being able to actually make that shrink up and all that. I don't think that's gonna do it, but we're just gonna keep playing with it here and keep my lines lined up as much as I can and just kind of go to town. Who knows? Having fun though. Yeah, definitely fighting me like I thought it would with bending this whole bigger piece down. I might be able to cheat a little bit in the vise here. Let's see. No, that's not gonna work. Well, sometimes you kind of do something and you I don't know if it's gonna work, but essentially all I did is I took this piece of bar stock and clamped it down, and then started forming this down here where it was nice and thin, and started hammering it this way, and just as I kind of got closer, I just put it in the vise and helped me bend it and everything like that, and then eventually got to the point where I was able to clamp down here and hold on to it and just keep working it and just work it over top like this. And I had it was a nasty piece of railroad tie here, got to work it over that. So it's I mean, it looks cool. It's all sorts of marring and everything from the hammer strikes in there. It's not in real pretty shape, but it is going to, you know, be covered in carpet. So I'm not too concerned. Whether or not it's going to fit, I'm not sure. This flange from the original piece was all crimpled because of whatever happened in that wheel arch there to mess that up. So there's still a little bit of that in the B-post that's crimpled, so it's not going to fit real well in here, but we're going to see how close I can get it. All right, well, I think that's about the final solution there. Big old gap here, and I think all I did was just kind of go in too far. Instead of cutting it right on the bend, I cut too much of the old metal out. So I'm hoping that as that comes in, I'll be able to fill that with weld. But again, this flange is still hanging out. I'm not going to worry about that now, but I think all in all, this is pretty good. I was able to get a pair of vice grips in this and kind of flatten that out a little bit so it's not quite as proud as it was. Now what I'll do is I got the paper template for this guy. This is the wheel arch part that I showed you, the Swiss cheese. And I'll go ahead and tape that or trace that out and then cut it out of the piece of metal and start forming this with all sorts of stuff, who knows. Like I said, a lot of complex curves here that I'm not real good at. Got the new piece of metal here. Got it cleaned up and shiny. This is the old piece, obviously. So I've got in labeled here because it's going to be bending in here. And that flange is marked at the top and the bottom here to go in. I'm not going to put that flange in until I'm all done because I don't want it to lock my panel up. So, and it's a clean shot there to put that flange in, so I'm not too concerned. The one thing I will point out here is it does have a little notch cut out of it. In the old one here, you can see this bottom flange kind of extends down and you got a little bit of a notch. There's a whole bunch of brazing there, so I know that was notched and it wasn't eaten away. But not incredibly complicated of a piece. Try and bend it. I've got some PVC pipe and stuff that I can bend over top of it and try to create that curve in the middle. And then just, I got a nylon hammer if I need to knock it out and to stretch it a little bit to make some other curves, and we're just gonna see how it goes. So here is the wheel arch patch panel. You can see that it's got to be under tension a little bit to get in there. There's still some gaps and everything, but all in all, it fits pretty well. It's going to be good enough. You can see I've got it pretty much nice and flush there. But again, as I had mentioned earlier in the intro, that I don't have good temperature down here to paint, and to get to where I need to be is just going to be too much kerosene. So we're going to hold off on that. And without being able to do that, I can't get the floor prepped, and without getting the floor prepped, I'm not going to weld that in. So I may, I don't know what I'm going to do. We'll see what's next. I don't know how much of that I'll edit out because it wasn't very exciting, but I got the outer and the inner sills both out of there, just kind of unceremoniously threw them on the floor. And then I have the inner sill fit, it's kind of just in there. I have to do some trimming up here at the front, and like I had thought, my flange isn't, curve doesn't fit real well. And this B post, or excuse me, the A post here is in much worse shape on this side than it was on that side. On that side, I just had to replace a little bit, but on this side, I'm gonna have to replace the whole bottom and the flange and everything. So that shouldn't be too bad. It'll just be awkward to weld to. But it seems to, partially fit okay. So we'll follow the same path here, and hopefully it'll warm up here in a couple days, and I'll be able to get some heat in here and get some paint going. All right, everybody, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below, tell me what you think. Well, like I told you at the beginning, sometimes, you just kind of jump all over the place. It doesn't really help that I have days separating my visits here to get work done. But, you sleep on stuff and you decide to do things differently like I have here. So I've got the sills out, got it down to brass tacks. Essentially now it's ready to kind of build stuff back up. I just hope it warms up here and we're able to get some paint onto the surfaces so we can weld through it. But there was snow on the ground this morning, so, there's that. But anyway, thanks again for watching. Thanks for all your support, your likes, and your comments. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.